Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk to you about the progress that Donald Trump is making now with negotiations with Iran. It seems that he has gone much further than previously, and so there is new agreements. Or to put it this way, that they now have a memorandum of understanding on the basis of which we can say that there has been significant agreement on the broad terms and conditions under which peace can be made between Iran and the United States. And then they're going to spend the next 60 days negotiating as well as thrashing out the final details of this agreement. And apparently that if the negotiations take longer than 60 days, then they will continue to do that with mutual agreement. If both sides agree that they need to negotiate for another 30 days or whatever. Apparently things, we can understand that Iran is in quite chaotic thing. The government is not in its position. A lot of the leaders have died, and so most of the leadership is new. So taking really big decisions which are going to have long-term impact on the strategy, the national interest of the national interest of Iran. So, 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 so basically, they are not able to like pull the trigger on some of the big decisions. I think, especially with regards to nuclear enrichment. It seems Ayatollah Khamenei, the new one, Mushtaba Khamenei, he is completely opposed to sending the enriched uranium outside the borders of Iran. While there are some in Iran who understand that Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapon and therefore they want to make a deal with the United States. The thing I think that Iran really wants is lifting of all economic sanctions. And so part of it is now available to Iran. So there's a lot of distrust between the two parties. The Americans think that the Iranians will continue to do whatever the US finds offensive about Iran, which is supporting Palestinians or harassing their neighbors, etc., using their proxies, whether it is the Houthis, the Hezbollah, or Hamas, etc. That is one thing. So the Americans think that, okay, if we give them a little freedom, they will continue to do this negative, or they will continue to, hold on to the Strait of Hormuz, or may not fulfill their side of the obligation. Even though the track record of Iran has been actually better than the US. When Trump broke JCPOA, which means that the US violated the agreement made by the President Obama, US intelligence agencies as well as IAEA both made this assertion that Iran was fulfilling its obligations under JCPOA. So if the Donald Trump's administration would keep their prejudice aside and look at the historical track record, they would have more reason to trust that once Iran makes a deal, it kind of stays with it. But we will see what has happened, because there are a few sticking points. So this is the agreement. The agreement is that Iran will open the Strait of Hormuz and will also start demining or help the West remove all the mines which they have installed. The assumption is they probably have a map of where these mines are. So the Strait of Hormuz will become safe. And in this period, this 60-day negotiations period, while the Strait of Hormuz is open, Iran will also essentially negotiate in good interests those two things: the surrender of enriched uranium and putting a moratorium on its enrichment program. Now, those are the things which are paramount for the United. Donald Trump really is now focused on only three things: open the Strait of Hormuz, number one; number two, end your enrichment program; number three, surrender the enriched uranium. Okay, so those are the three things he is really focused on. So he's getting one, and they're going to negotiate the other two. Iran is trying to delay as much as it can because A, it does not want to give up the right to enrich uranium, and B, once it hands over once it hands over the enriched uranium to other people outside the US or to the US itself, then it will have no more leverage. That's what the Iranians feel. The Iranians, on the other hand, have enough reason not to trust the United States. Every time the US negotiated with this government, with Iran, like they did in last year, then they attacked them even during negotiations. The same thing happened this year. So the Iranians are saying that right now the US is short of ammunition. What if in another 3-4 months they accumulate weapons and then they attack us again? So what is the guarantee that the US and Israel will not attack us again? That is an assurance that they are not able to receive. I think the confidence will happen. I think if Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz, so the US is saying it will, as Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz, the US will lift the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, and they will allow Iran to sell its oil freely on the market. This is a big advantage. Then Iran can sell it. It doesn't need to sell at a highly discounted price to China. It can sell it to anybody it wants at the market price. Of course, the market price will come down. It's already coming down, so that the price of Brent oil went from 100, I think it went down to 103 right now, or even below that. But they will be able to sell at the market price. And the US is promising that once the nuclear side of the negotiations are over, the US will lift all economic sanctions, and the United States will also return all the cash of Iran that they have frozen. Billions and billions of Iranian dollars have been frozen in many parts of the world. So all of those Iran's frozen assets will be released to Iran. So it will be a financial bonanza for Iran. It's not as if anyone is giving them money. They're getting their own money back, which the US and the Western banks have frozen them. So for Iran, there is money, money, money. So they will get money of their own, which is frozen right now in various banks. Then they can sell other things, buy other things. They have access to the global market. Number 3, they will also be able to sell at market price oil to anybody. Their dependency on China will end. That way, it will have more strategic autonomy. So that is the deal. So the question for Iran really is 2 questions. One, do they pursue their ideological goals or do they pursue their economic goals? Both of them are not compatible. Their ideological goals pitches them against the West, against Israel, and in return they only earn them sanctions and economic marginalization. If they pursue their economic goals and try to become rich and developed, then they will have to forego their ideological goals, supporting Hezbollah and Houthis and all of that. There are other sticking issues which at the moment it's not very clear from the draft whether Iran will get any reparations for the damages that have been done to all of its assets during this Israeli and American bombing. So that probably will be negotiated. So we will see what happens. I think from an Iranian point of view, the last thing that they are going to do is give up. By last thing, I mean chronologically, the last concession that they would make is give up the enriched uranium that they have, about 1,000 pounds, and about 400 kilos. So some people estimate that is about 10 to 12 bombs, dirty bombs. So that is the last thing that they will want to do, because once they do that, then they have lost all leverage. So they will want to see that the sanctions have been fully lifted. But the problem for Iran is that the sanctions are such that the US can just turn it on and off anytime it wants. So the key question for the Iranians is that, look, once we give up all of these things, what if the US and Israel attack us again and turn it on again? And that's the whole thing. Donald Trump is saying that, look, Iran has great economic potential and they can become very rich and very powerful, etc., etc. If you notice, he has completely dropped his demands about regime change and all of that. even though he's getting regime change. If there is a significant change in Iranian foreign policy as a result of this, so they get the regime change, right? The whole purpose of getting a regime change was to end. I think the Iranians should test and say, look, give us California or give us some other state, Florida, and we will recognize Israel. I think that the Americans at this moment are so desperate to do things for Israel, they might actually consider that. Maybe they'll give half of California to Israel, to Iran, in exchange for just recognizing Israel as a state. But anyway, but we will see what happens going forward. Whether this deal will, some of the American administrative people who've been talking to Axios, for example, they feel that it may not last the whole 60 days because there's this tricky side of it, which is the Lebanon side of it. The Iranians also insist that the the Hezbollah-Israel fight should also stop. Apparently, Netanyahu and Trump had a long conversation yesterday. Netanyahu is not happy with this deal, but he's willing to listen to Trump. He has no choice, actually. Trump is going to be under a lot of pressure from pro-Israeli voices, especially his own members from the Republican Party like Cruz and Lindsey Graham, etc., who would be screaming at him, which they are if you go and look at their X accounts. But I think Trump basically said that it's not going to be one-sided. If Hezbollah behaves, Israel will behave. So basically, they will stop fighting. But if Hezbollah shoots a rocket at Israel, then Israel will go and kill thousands of people in Lebanon. So that is probably what is being suggested, that yes, you want to end war, then yes, you also have to stop. But they are also putting a caveat that Hezbollah should not arm itself. But Israel can arm itself endlessly. So that is the asymmetry of this relationship. So we will see what happens. There is a lot of, they're working. I think the American approach seems to be that, okay, we have no choice, so let's make a deal, but we know this is not going to work. That seems to be the American attitude towards this, that, okay, we have to make a deal, we have to get the Strait of Hormuz open. It's having a terrible impact on the global economy. It's also having a terrible impact on our own economy. There's no way we can fix that through war. So the only solution to bringing the economy a bit more towards growth, otherwise the global economy's growth rates are predicted to fall from 3.5% to 2%. That would be devastating for especially global South countries, even for the U.S. And it would hurt Donald Trump in the midterm elections. So those are the situation that we are in. I'm not very sure whether this thing will last because right now there are still no confirmation from the Iranian side about the details of what is agreed. The Iranians themselves are, it's a very funny situation right now. Even though the US is democratic, it's behaving like a monarchy. So whatever Trump decides is going to happen. Whereas Iran, which is supposed to be a totalitarian state, is actually more divided internally. So while there are those who want to make peace and move forward, there are those who do not want to make peace. They are very hardliners, especially the IRGC. So it is quite possible that they might be sabotaging each other, people, just as the pro-Israeli voices are going to try to sabotage this deal. They're going to do everything possible to make sure that this deal fails. I can guarantee you that. Pro-Israeli billionaires, pro-Israeli senators, pro-Israeli Congress people, they are all, this is their only job, is to shape and reformulate and American foreign policy in the service of Israel. So whatever Netanyahu wants, they're going to be doing it here. There, the hardliners from IRGC may say, oh, we are not going to stop supporting Hezbollah. We are not going to stop supporting Houthis. We are not going to stop making rockets. And so they will try to undermine their own moderates who are in the favor of making this deal. So we will see what ultimately prevails, but what is at stake really is, for Donald Trump, it's the midterm elections to begin with. For Americans, most Americans, it's the quality of life. The inflation is going higher and higher. and is beginning to really hurt. The same is true for everybody. In India, for example, the Prime Minister has announced austerity measures, telling people to work from home, telling people not to go abroad, telling them not to buy things from overseas, just buy domestic stuff, basically save dollars, save gas, save petrol. And the same situation is across the board in most economies. And so that is at stake. And for the Gulf countries also, if there's no peace, then their model doesn't work. I mean, can you imagine that if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed for another few months, what will happen to Qatari and other Gulf countries' economies? They are taking a big hit. So that is where we are with this peace process. Anyway, thank you very much. Take care. Bye.